right, I'm Alex Moore on behalf of That Nerd Show, along here with Willie Baronet, who is here to talk about a film that he's been working on, a documentary actually, and this one is called Signs of Humanity. And we even have a little bit of a show and tell here with some of this was actually from the film, or
some of these are from the film. Some I've been buying signs for 23 years,
okay.
So some of these may be from Dallas or Austin as well.
No tell, it could be from anywhere in the world when you think about it. So this movie, most of all, I mean, yes, it is about interrelated themes of home and homelessness, but above all else, it's about compassion and humanity, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
I definitely think those are themes that are underlying the film. The project's been going on for such a long time. I don't think it's really came together until we planned this cross-country trip. I'd been doing some installations with the signs in various places, but I think the documentary was the first time I got to have really long conversations with people on the street holding signs, interviews, and I felt like I got to learn at a much deeper level doing that.
Now, and from my own personal experience, you know, on my way home every day, there's a guy that I pass by on the freeway, and he's there every single day. And these people, they're like a part of your life, you know. You go to the same place every day to and from home, and you get to know these people in your own life. You know, you bring them food, and you talk to them, you have conversations like, how was your day today?
Right.
And he leaves these really great signs along the freeway, and he puts artistic design on it. It's not just, hey, help me out, or anything like that, or God bless you. It's have a nice day, or God told me to tell you this. I mean, he puts a lot of thought into it, and
right.
This brings a real personal side to it. And when you get to know these people, you see that they are just like everyone else. You know that some people get there because of bad things that happen to them. Some can get there because this is just how they chose to live their life. So I'm curious to know, though. You travel all across the country. What did you see that was in common from place to place where you saw these people? What were some things that was sort of the similar, or what made them different from place to place?
So you're asking a lot of things there.
Yeah.
One is, I think it's true in that there is some difference from city to city. The cities that tend to be kinder to their homeless population, San Francisco, Los Angeles, New York, the signs tended to be more varied. Some had more humor involved. They were bigger. Austin is another example.
Okay.
And then the cities that tend to not be as friendly towards their homeless, the signs are smaller, more serious. Detroit,
okay.
Dallas, and in terms of the individual stories, the other thing that I think you sort of touched on is that every single person is individual. Every single person has their own story, regardless of what the sign may say, because sometimes, and I talked to a couple of guys in Chicago who said they make funny signs for the evening when they're near the nightclubs and the young folks. And they have serious signs for during the day when they're on near Millennium Park and talking to business people. So
okay.
The signs vary, and the people are all unique, and that's one of the things that I think I learned doing this.
So there's a thought process that goes into how they go about making the signs. It's not always just something so random and so made up. A lot of times it's something personal and something strategic where they're trying to reach out to certain people. Obviously they want people to reach out to them, but they're reaching out to people as well. So there is that connection there between give and take, basically.
Some of them, some of the veterans, for instance, might put their military IDs right on their signs so that, they want to make sure, they were actually in the military. And even if I bought their signs, they would keep their IDs, obviously. Yeah. But I had a few of them sell me their signs, and they would go make another one. I met a woman in Chicago who was on the street with her two granddaughters.
Wow.
And she had subsidized housing, but she said, I've got to make a certain amount of money each month just so that I can keep a roof over these girls' heads. And her name was Poochie. She was just, for me, she was just like this really strong, confident woman who was doing what she needed to do. I think the signs are all different, and the people, their stories are all different. there are also some signs that are just heartbreaking, and I have a couple that say "Please help," and that's all it says. But you can see it in the way the letters are drawn. That there is nothing funny about that sign. And that guy who I got to interview, his name was Michael in Las Vegas. The pain just oozed out of him, you know. So, and I have a background in advertising design. I am totally enamored by the signs. I love them as artifacts. You know, the way they feel, the stuff they say, and like you say, what people choose to write versus, you know.
I like this one. That's good.
Yeah, that's from Austin.
That's great.
This one's also from Austin. But you can see
Yeah, these are from the same city, and yet there's a totally different message. There's a totally different look.
Yeah, I sort of never get bored by the signs, and I've got over 1,000 signs now.
So this is interesting. You have sort of a different take on this as somebody who's been in advertising. Have you found that maybe there's some of these that have sort of inspired you in a way with some, like, oh, that's interesting. Maybe I'd like to think about that as some sort of a design later on. I mean, have you ever exchanged ideas with some of these people? Like this is something I've done. I like what you've done, this sort of thing.
I honestly have never thought about it like that, but there was a guy, I think it was in Philly. I didn't actually interview him on camera, but we did. He pulled out 2 sketchbooks. When he found out I was an artist, he was like, dude, and he's covered in tattoos, and he draws tattoos all day long. And so he pulled out his sketchbooks, and we just looked at his work. And, you know, for me, there's something about connecting to somebody through art that feels powerful.
And as I understand it, the textbook definition of art, it's all about emotions. It's all about how your senses connect with what you're seeing, whether it's a piece of artwork, whether it's something you hear, or even something you taste, down to even something you smell. It's all art depending on what you find appealing. So it's a very subjective thing, and it's something that easily everybody can aspire to and something can connect with. So
I have a sign.
Okay.
If I can find it, I want to show it. It's also from Austin.
Oh yeah, this is great. Wow.
And this is a guy who is kind of famous for his signs, but he's always doing these really colorful signs, and that's somebody who's clearly got artistic talent.
Yeah, absolutely.
And loves what he's doing. And one of my students was there over the summer, and she bought 2 signs from him to give to me, and they both looked this elaborate.
That's great.
So, yeah, and that's another thing I love too, is this project has caused me to connect to other people, and they, in turn, they will go buy signs and send them to me in the mail or give them to me in class, and I love that. It's like the ripples of this keep going, and I just constantly love that, you know?
So you were mentioning there was a student that had gone with you to one of these locations. How does that work? Do you have like a program that you get involved with where the students just volunteer to come out?
She was interning in Austin herself over the summer, and so she just brought it back to Dallas.
Right. Okay.
But I do speak at schools periodically, and I don't have any formal program. That's one of the things we're hoping that may come out of this documentary, is some sort of an impact campaign that we could use in the future, because I see, especially like middle school and high school, they light up, and they are not jaded the way a lot of my friends are, and so it's pretty cool to see them get excited about this. And there was J.L. Long is in Dallas, the middle school. I talked to a bunch of their students. A few months later, they were doing a coat drive. They were collecting materials to give at Christmas time. And I just see kids all the time. They get it, you know. They're like, they need help. Let's go help them. And they don't have any jaded ideas yet.
Uncluttered mind.
Yeah.
Hasn't been affected yet. Yes.
Right.
So about the actual documentary though. So you were talking about how one thing you'd like to see from this is getting people more involved, having some kind of programs. Are there any other thoughts that come to mind about what you want people to maybe get from this work as they view it?
Well, certainly, I mean, my hope is that everybody might slow down and not judge everybody so quickly and be a little more compassionate when they see somebody. Not make up a story so quickly, because the truth is nobody knows. Nobody really knows that person's story until you go talk to them and learn about them. So I do hope that if nothing else, people, even if you don't want to give money to somebody, I think if you just smile and wave, and which is really what the word humanity is all about, is let them see you and see them. If that happens, that's a big deal to me.